We want to comment. We want to hear your thoughts about streaming services. Anyway, but before we do that, we want to get to this week's Side of the Apocalypse and a couple of reviews with what's going on in the world. So, since we are talking about streaming services, here's this week's Side of the Apocalypse, and it's not something that's it shouldn't make you throw up in your mouth, but
it shouldn't. But.
So the latest streaming service that has come out is the new Hbo Max, where it's not just the back catalog of HBO, they have added other shows like Friends and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and have a whole back catalog of shows that were not really part of their network. They were able to secure the rights to some of these classic TV shows. Now, with that being said, the week that HBO Max launched on May 27th, was the official date. They also announced that, yes, they will, in fact, be releasing the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League movie. That has been thrown out and rumored for a while. Who would spend the $30 to $40 million to put it all together with all of his footage? And HBO Max decided, yes, let's go ahead and do that because there's not enough controversy about Warner Brothers and DC movies. So let's add some more fuel to the fire. All right, thoughts. Is this a good idea or just a waste of our time? Julie, we'll start with you.
I think it could go either way. It really depends on Zack and what he's trying to do and what he wants to add. I think a lot of times people don't think about the fact that the director's cut has a lot of scenes that are relevant to the storyline, and they just don't think that it's marketable, so they cut it out before it actually goes to theaters. So if
Right.
Zack's given free reign and some of those things happened, it could actually improve the film. But the problem is that movie was so fucking horrible. I don't see how it could really improve much.
I disagree that it's absolutely horrible. I thought it was kind of a fun movie, and you could definitely see Joss Whedon's hands on it. But again, these are DC movies that we're talking about. I mean, we're never going to actually get what we really want, and they're never. I had a friend this week who pointed out when we were talking about it that Warner Brothers and DC have the golden opportunity to actually do a straight cut from the comics, not deviate, do it. It would be dark, and it pretty much would be a perfect story. But no, Hollywood doesn't want to do that. They want to throw in their own ideas and say, well, no, this could be better, and we need more comedy here, and blah, 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 blah.
It's not even a matter anymore of what's better. It's just, oh, well, this is hot right now. This is marketable. This is going to be the new trend. Let's throw that in there. And they don't think about the artistic relevance or the relevance to the storyline or how it's going to make the movie flow. All they care about is this is marketable. Let's put it in.
Right. Now, Chad, what do you think? Is this a good idea or, again, just a waste of our time?
I look at it, there's a couple of different ways you can look at this. I'm a huge fan of the Donner cut of Superman 2.
Right.
That worked, that added a new dimension to that film that I think it was kind of missing. And look how long it took them to get that done. So, I really can't complain about how far removed we are from when this thing was released. But the other way I look at it is unless the Snyder cut can completely remove Jesse Eisenberg from it, I don't see it getting much better.
That's how I feel about Ben Affleck.
I don't have a problem with Affleck. I thought Batfleck was actually kind of good. But
yeah, I didn't think he was bad. But yes, I agree. If you can remove all traces of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, absolutely, I'm all for that. In fact, that still makes our because Brendan and I did a podcast after Batman versus Superman, and we wrote out a formal resignation letter asking Jesse Eisenberg to resign from the role that we didn't do anymore.
Yeah.
We read it out loud.
Nothing about that worked. Nothing about it worked.
We got some interesting responses on Twitter, but
I bet.
I get the whole point about director's cuts. Director's cuts do tend to end up being better. If you look at anything that Ridley Scott does, his director's cut's going to end up making the movie better. in fact, I find it interesting that when they decided to put Blade Runner on Netflix, they put the final cut, Ridley Scott's director's cut. You know, if you look at the movie Kingdom of Heaven with Orlando Bloom, it's an okay movie. It's kind of pretty and everything if you watch the theatrical version, but there's choppy scenes and there's a lot of deleted scenes that help segue into what we see in the theatrical cut. So you have to watch the 4-hour version to really understand that full story and see how beautiful it really is. You know, if you watch the theatrical cut, they adhere to a fact that the queen has a child who has leprosy, but you never see the child. And then you don't understand, you know, a little bit of a spoiler if you haven't seen it, you don't see the deleted scene where she actually kills her own son to avoid the pain of leprosy, you know. To me, that movie is the equivalent of, if you're going to watch Lord of the Rings now, you're going to watch the extended versions because they're better, and we can handle a 4-hour version.
And if you haven't seen Lord of the Rings yet, you should unfollow us.
Go watch a different podcast.
Please return your nerd card. You're not really a nerd.
Yeah, you're not one of us. Go away.
I mean, that's a separate conversation all into itself, like the best extended cuts, director's cuts of all time.
I could go on for hours about the Tolkien movies. Literally.
By the way,
hours.
little sub question, just because I need there's an ongoing debate, and this could also be this week's Side of the Apocalypse, but I want a nerd forum on this to settle this issue that I have with someone. If you are a fan of the show Lost, like a hardcore fan, a show that deals with parallel universes and all that, are you in fact a nerd? Maybe not a hardcore nerd, but are you at least somewhat nerdy?
I've never seen it. I've never seen a single episode.
Either, but it seems like you can qualify.
Again, it's a science fiction type of show with parallel universe. If you're a fan of that show, you're a bit of a nerd, aren't you?
From what I hear, it's like Twin Peaks on an island. That's what it sounds like to me. Whenever people talk about it, they're like, "Oh, who did this and did that?" I'm like, "Are you talking about the midget with the cards and the dreams? Is that what you're talking about?"
Well, anyway, I just thought I would answer that question if she were ever to see this and be like, "Yes, the nerd forum agrees. If you watch a show that deals with parallel universes and some science fiction elements, you are in fact a bit of a nerd." Just saying.
If it has a cloud monster on it, then yeah, you got some geek elements involved.
You're at least at the on ramp. You might not fully be there, but you're close. You're on the path.
We're not saying that you're so hardcore that you're like, you know, like a Trekkie or a Star Wars fan, but yeah, you're a bit of a nerd. Anyway.
Yes.
Well, we will definitely see what happens with the Snyder Cut when it comes out next year. I mean, you better believe that we will, you know, be comparing both versions, talking about what they did wrong, what they did right, and, you know, and thank you for getting us back into that debate. I thought we had already settled it, but no, you have to throw fuel to the fire.
You're welcome.
No.
Yeah. You're welcome, America. Anyway.
You're welcome.
So, a couple of quick reviews for you, things that have come out. First and foremost, you can read Julie's review of the Lovebirds movie with Kumail Nanjiani on Netflix. It was a cute little Netflix film, and if you're a huge fan of him, like, you know, him being on Silicon Valley and other shows, then you will definitely enjoy this movie as a good laugh, you know, as a Netflix film. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of his, and I had seen that she had like an HBO show, but I'd never seen the show, and I didn't really know much about her. So when I saw it, I was like, I don't know if I really want to watch it because I love him, but I don't know about her. But she definitely keeps up with him. It's not like a lopsided comedy kind of thing. They're both very even keeled. They're both very funny. And of course, it's outlandish. Nobody expects that something like this could actually you know, like, oh, I witnessed a murder, I'm going to go solve it. It never happens. So don't expect it to be like expect that you can yell at the screen and be like, why did you do that? It's because, you know, things like this don't happen and people are stupid when they get put in high stress situations. So You know, if you're
Well-
expecting something that completely makes sense, don't bother. But if you want something really funny that you can watch on a date or you can watch on the couch by yourself, it's absolutely a great idea.
Right. My take on the film was just it's a good Netflix film. That's really what it is at the
Yeah.
end of the day. I don't know if I would have paid money to go see it in the theater, but for Netflix, it was good. You know, there's this thing about Netflix films that you have some really good ones, but they're also films that you would expect to go straight to on demand or Redbox or something along those lines. Now, you know, we talked about this when we were texting back and forth about him, that I was the one who covered the movie Stuber, the one that he did last year with David Bautista. And that was a great little buddy cop film. It was funny, and he basically stole the movie as usual. But I never gave it like an 8 out of 10 or anything like that. It was okay, and I would definitely watch it again, which I have on cable. But anything he does, you're going to get a good laugh at. So
yeah.
I think
He's definitely a funny guy.
Yeah, even when he's just doing the voice of the little troll monster thing in the latest Men in Black movie.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for more to watch on Netflix, definitely check that movie out. There is one that I would very much love to recommend, and I feel bad that I honestly kind of forgot about this movie because I had drinks with some of the producers at a film festival earlier this year, and they
Is it
sent
Twister?
You what?
I said, is it Twister?
No. That's always a good classic. Well, I did see that on Netflix. I was like,
put it back on Netflix.
I might actually have to watch that.
You go get that tornado.
That's right. I made
By the
my
way-
husband watch it. My poor husband was like, you have to watch this. He was like, oh, it's okay.
You know, what's her face is the therapist trying to do therapy over the phone while they're chasing tornado. He does not hate your penis. And she was hilarious in that.
I gotta go, Julia. We got cows.
Pretty sure that's the same cow.
Yeah.
So anyway, it came out this past weekend. It is a movie called The Vast of Night on Amazon. It's an Amazon original film. So again, I didn't think much of it. You know, when it was described to me, I was like, "Oh, cool! This is definitely right up our alley." But the best way that I can describe it is very much in the vein of an old school sci-fi thriller / Twilight Zone episode. It has a very good retro feel to it. You will also feel a lot of like Hitchcockian methods within the film. The premise is, you know, it's a small town in New Mexico set at the backdrop of this strange sound that comes over the radio and through the phone dispatch. And the girl who's running the dispatch and the guy who's running the radio, who are friends, are trying to figure out what this mysterious sound is. So they're interviewing people of the town who heard it too and who have their own perspectives, and is very much in the vein of, if you've ever read Plato's story about the cave, about seeing light, but it's from different
I
perspectives.
love that allegory.
Yeah.
So
This
good.
sci-fi thrillers right up the alley because everybody has their own story, and it's almost kind of parallel to where our minds start to take off and we develop these weird conspiracy theories. Like, for them, were the Russians really invading? Is it really aliens? It's also a great nod to the original radio broadcast of World of Worlds, where it did really scare society. They thought they were being invaded. But it's all about the search for this mysterious sound, and you don't see anything or understand what it is until the very end. So you have to go on this journey with them to try to figure it out. But the camera action is just absolutely brilliant at this slow, just bringing you into every scene, creeping you in to what is going on. And then, they literally start the movie off like it feels like a Twilight episode where, you open into a scene of an old school TV and they bring you in, it starts you off in black and white, then it turns to color when you unfold the story. I was so just greatly impressed with the way they shot this film. And while I had some nitpicks on it about some of the conversations going on too long, I understand the pacing of why they do it. Very much like 2001 Space Odyssey, there's a purpose to the pacing where they draw you into the ships and the conversations and trying to, that's not quick and just, for short attention spans. Or the way Blade Runner 2049 did the same thing, where it was important for the slow walks into buildings and to heighten the intensity of, what they were going to find. So if you're a nerd like us, you like especially retro noir type films, old school sci-fi thrillers, are a huge fan of the Twilight Zone, the original one, then you need to check this film out. And the 90 minutes is worth your time. And in fact, I had to watch it twice because I felt like there were things that I missed the first time. So that's my big
again?
The Vast of Night.
Vast of Night.
Right. And
I breezed past that just the other night, and I'm glad you gave this input because we kind of brushed it off. I'm glad that you watched this because now you're going to get me to watch it.
I want to give a shout out to Melissa Kirkendall, who again she was one of the producers I had a drink with a few months ago, who was the one who sent me info about it, and it was a great recommendation. I mean, it was just one of those kind of chance things that were the perfect outlet for a film like this. And I could go on and on about, the method of filmmaking and everything they did with it, but it was beautifully shot. And I mean, it's an independent film. It really is. It's not, you can tell they didn't have a huge budget. I feel like in a lot of ways, giving a nod to Jaws, they didn't want to add so much CGI with different scenes that are going to take away from the intensity. So you don't see the monster until the end of the film, and then by the time you see it, it's not really a letdown. It's just like, oh, wow, I get it, and stuff like that. But yeah, for nerds out there, take 90 minutes, watch this film. I mean, again, you may nitpick on some of the conversations, but everything is leading to a great finale of what it is. And the fact that they all shot it at night, in this small town where it's not well lit and you are kind of out in the country. And but I also wanted to praise the cinematography because whoever worked on that film did a great job and deserves an Oscar nom. So
that's something that like I noticed with Prime, like it's starting to get more quality driven. I think I've noticed that they're starting to put out more original content, which is really great. Like storylines that you haven't seen before, storylines that have like really good content, and they're not just flat storylines. They have a lot of texture to them.
Right.
They're starting to do, like when I saw Tales from the Loop, I was like, oh, it's probably really stupid. But then when I actually watched it, I was like, wow, it's got really quality aesthetics. These are different stories. They're really starting to put out good content.
Well, and this leads us into our overall conversation about the best and the worst streaming services and what we like.
You're welcome.
Obviously, it's greatly important. It's greatly important to have original content and great story-driven content. I absolutely agree with you about Amazon. I think when I look at original content on and streaming services, I tend to think Amazon Prime has the best stories for what they are doing, the money they're putting into stuff, whether it's movies to shows. I mean, for me, Amazon, I'm a huge fan of The Man in the High Castle. And to be able to there was people talking about actually trying to make that into a movie, and I'm like, no, that book is too intense. It's a Philip K. Dick book, so you've got.
And they did a really great job with The Boys too.
And The Boys.
Yeah.
Bosch, Brendan, and I. In fact, I'm going to bring Brendan up here in a minute as I say this. Forgive Brendan, but just everything that they are really doing in creating good quality stories, you got to hand it to them. And I don't know if it's so much it's about the budget per se that they have, or they're just focusing more on story-driven. Anyway, Brendan, are you with us?
I am with us.
And this is Brendan
Welcome.
Counting Us with Beer. I like the little subliminal message in the background, like, is it time to start drinking yet?
And the brew
Great,
house
Mark.
is over there.
Oh, wow. But anyway, we're talking about Amazon having some of the best story-driven content, and I wanted to mention, it's funny that you just got on now. I was about to say Bosch. It is one of our all-time favorite shows. We're never disappointed, and I don't know if any other streaming network would have taken as much care with it as Amazon, or, you know, especially with the cast and everything that they do.
Well, they have one distinct advantage. All the books are actually written.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, I wonder what he could be referencing there. What could he possibly be talking about?
So I saw a meme the other day. It was 2020, written by Stephen King, directed by Quentin Tarantino. And my only response to that was, just be grateful it wasn't written by George R.R. Martin, because we'd get to September and the world would end because he didn't finish the damn story.
I saw a meme where they had it said it had a picture of like George R. Martin, and it was like, I wanted 12 episodes, and then it showed HBO said we wanted 10 episodes or seasons, and then it showed the two writers, and it was like we wanted Star Trek. And it was like, huh? Star Wars. We wanted Star. Oh my God!
Right.
I can't believe that I.
And then
messed that up.
didn't they even didn't their trilogy get canceled by Kathleen Kennedy? Like they lived to do Star Wars, and then Star Wars canceled whatever they were doing. So you know, that worked out for nobody.
Well,
Exactly.
Kind of like 2020.
When people complain that I don't have time to go out and have fun because I'm writing and I have a deadline, my response is, because I'm not trying to be George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
It's important as a writer to do those things. So,
I keep seeing all these articles like, oh, is a new book coming? Is a new book coming? Here's info on the release dates. Nobody has info on the release dates. Don't fall for that clickbait. All he's going to tell you is it's coming soon. Which is what he's been saying for
a decade. A decade.
Yeah.
Well, getting back to Amazon and why we really like them as a streaming service, and here, you know, because we do place value on stuff and the amount of money that you would spend. You know, for $15 a month, you know, they really package everything together. It's like, yes, you can get Prime and watch our streaming content and yada yada, but you're also getting discounts on shipping and everything else. It's like having a rewards card where you get all this great streaming content plus savings on orders.
Well, we shop so much online that we had Prime before Prime Video was a thing. So when Prime Video came up, I don't even count that as paying for a streaming service, because I'm not. I'm paying for free shipping all year long because of how much we shop online, and then I'm getting a streaming service for free.
Right. And that's a great way to look at it. But here's the other thing too, that, you know, when you look at Amazon and the thing that they're, you know, trying to put out, the fact that they're actually bringing back Kids in the Hall, the great comedy sketch show from Canada.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was kind of funny because Dave Foley and I forget the other guy's name, and I apologize.
Is it Michael Ian Black?
No. Anyway, they were here receiving the Kovacs Award for DFW Video Fest, and you know, the Canadian consulate threw a little party, and you know, we were all kind of drinking with them, and they were just great to talk to. But they kind of mentioned, you know, that the rumblings of being able to, the rumors of being able to, if the show would ever come back, and they were like, probably not, but you know, we love the fact that people still love the show, go back and watch it, and you know, could it really be relevant today? And you're like, yes, it could be.
Yeah.
So thank you, Amazon.
I'd just like to back up there a second. There was something you said that I found very interesting. There's a Canadian consulate in Dallas. Who knew?
I don't know if it's so much. I don't know if it's so much a building, but there's one guy that runs it, and I sat next to him at a screening one time. It was also
did he apologize for Bryan Adams?
Hey.
Oh, I love Bryan Adams.
It's a South Park joke. Come on.
Oh.
Or
No.
Nickelback.
Maybe I didn't.
Or
No.
Nickelback.
Maybe I didn't see. I guess I didn't see that episode.
It was actually the movie actually.
Oh, was it?
It was bigger, longer, and uncut. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that movie like 1,000 times. I don't remember that part.
Anyway,
They're- Talk about it.
Blame Canada.
as for original content, like I said, I think Amazon tends to have the best story-driven show. Chad, what is your favorite show on Amazon? I'm curious.
Oh gosh. Oddly enough, I've started so many of them, and I don't think I've finished a single one. Like I started watching, the Pacino Nazi Hunter one.
Yes, that's
Hunter.
so good. The Hunters.
Loved
Yeah.
it.
I
We
hate
will
the
not.
ending.
We will not spoil the ending, but I will say this to Julie.
Yeah.
When you got to the ending, did you have that OMG moment?
Yes. I was watching. I was like, oh my god! Like I started replaying the entire show in my head, and I was like, oh, this part makes sense, and that's why they did this, and oh my god! And especially because they show you clips of the backstory. So once
Yeah.
you put it all together, then you're like, oh, but this happened. Like the way that they cut the clip is right before something else happened that's relevant to the backstory, and it all starts to make sense. You're like, oh, that's so crazy.
I was hooked on that show from this line. In the beginning, in the first episode, when Al Pacino and his little Germanette, accent. Okay, let's go cook some Nazi cunts.
Yes.
And up and clap.
We're like, yes, let's.
Let's do that.
Such a great show.
So,
There's so many great lines in that show.
yeah, Chad, you need to actually. It's okay to finish the
Yes.
show.
I know. You know, it's just
like,
I've got a really short attention span. I haven't finished The Boys yet.
Oh.
I know, I'm horrible. Like I think one of the only series that we've binged from start to finish up to the point to where we've got no more episodes to watch, but there's more coming when the season starts. We did binge, and I know this isn't Amazon, but we did binge Ozark from start to finish.
Right.
I haven't seen it yet.
We'll get to Netflix.
Yeah, like when it comes to shows, I have a short attention span too. But if the show, like this is how my short attention span works. If it doesn't get me in one episode, on to the next.
Yeah.
But if it gets me in that one episode, I'm going to consume all of it in the next 24 hours.
So what you're saying is Elizabeth Shue in a TV show didn't get you in the first episode? Because she still looks hot.
In which
The Boys.
oh no, I binge watched The Boys.
Okay, all right.
That's why I was looking.
Yeah.
That's why I was looking at him crooked when he said he didn't finish it. I was like, huh?
Yeah. Elizabeth Shue, she still has it going on. That's why we're eagerly awaiting for her to return in Cobra Kai 3.
And I love that they show they show the bad side of the heroes. They're like, oh yeah, they're these great, beautiful people when you see them, but here's what they do when you don't see them. And they're just so bad. I'm like, oh my God, Superman really is horrible.
Yeah.
As much as I like
Ozymandias from The Watchmen.
Yeah. As much as I like The Boys and as much as I like Bosch, I think my favorite show on Amazon Prime didn't even start as a Prime show, and that's The Expanse.
You know what? Very true.
I love The Expanse. I'm so glad Bezos saved it. It's probably the one redeeming thing he's done as a person in the last 3 years. Just ask his ex-wife.
Ouch.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He's not. I mean, his track record's not the greatest. Like, and I'm a pro-business, somewhat conservative guy, but like, dude, like, you don't have to go full Mr. Burns. Like, if we start seeing you go excellent and release the hounds, so, just dial off the evil genius thing. But thank you for The Expanse.
Well, I love all the people that he doesn't pay taxes. Well, but he saved The Expanse, so we can let him slide on the taxes.
Maybe for 1 year, but I'd like to see him pay taxes in the future. If my poor ass has got to pay taxes, that rich SOB can pay some taxes.
Right. But you bring up a great point that Amazon has the capability of rescuing shows, and that's the problem with the Sci-Fi Channel is you you get rid of so many like different shows that start out like
Dark Matter.
Yeah, and you literally end that on a cliffhanger. It's like, come on.
You canceled, like, they came out with Dark Matter and Killjoys in the same year, and I think I watched 3 episodes of Killjoys and got bored with it. And then they kept that one for like 7 seasons, but they killed Dark Matter after, 4 and on a cliffhanger. It was like, you're screwed.
Well,
oh, wait, I forgot one. One that I did watch on Amazon from beginning to end, Good Omens. Loved Good Omens.
Oh, Good Omens was so good.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just watched
that was so good.
Those two together were hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you put Monstein and David Tennant in a scene together, then, I mean, it's going to be gold. How could it not?
Course, I mean, Neil Gaiman, does he ever really put out anything that sucks? He puts out stuff that, like, at worst, is mediocre. But he puts out stuff that's so good, like so good, especially his comics. They're just amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, just
you gotta step
not only do you
away
have
for a sec,
Tennant
guys. I'll
and
be right
Sheen,
back.
but you've got Terry Pratchett and Gaiman. So,
yeah, but I think also one of the things that Amazon is trying to do is they have like Farscape on there, and Farscape is one of those great classic sci-fi shows that I feel like you were always somebody special when you discovered it, because it was an all-Australian show and it wasn't, widely broadcasted or whatever, and it never had much money, but they
like
were
Flight of the Conchords.
But anyway,
I feel like you're describing Flight of the Conchords.
That is true too. But anyway, it's all on there, and I think Amazon is putting money behind actually getting the Farscape movie that is set like 19 years in the future, with their son grown and stuff like that. So that's a whole nother thing that they're, kind of able to rescue. But anyway, all right. So let's turn to Netflix for just a moment. The streaming service that started it all and started this culture of we just binge watch everything. Now, I don't want to say that they really started the idea of binge watching. I think 24 did that, because once we finally got those on DVD and we could actually watch, one season all at once without having to wait week to week just to watch an hour of that particular story, it made a huge difference. But Netflix really going all in with original content. I don't want to say that they have the best original content. Again, I feel like a lot of their movies are just B content and they're okay for streaming. But we have to admit that there is one absolute great nerdy show that we're all involved in, that from day one, we knew it was going to be a hit, and that is Stranger Things. Which one?
IT Crowd.
Well, a BBC show, but sure. But the fact that Netflix has a great back catalog of British shows is also a staple of how great they are as a service. I don't know if I think they're worth $17 a month anymore. However, they have really put out great thought-provoking, series. I don't know if it's the same quality as as Amazon or other outlets, but we have to give them a nod because of the one that did start all of this, that developed this market. And again, if you're a nerd and you don't like Stranger Things, please hand in your nerd card now. You're done. It's been revoked. So Netflix. I want to ask 2 questions about Netflix. The first, because we are talking about value, do you guys think that Netflix is worth $17 a month, and I'm including the Ultra 4K taxes and all that? That's really what it comes out to a month now. Chad, I'm going to start with you.
As far as quantity of programming, I think it is. Because I think my wife and I spend more time watching Netflix than just about any other streaming service, just because of the amount of stuff that's there, and how deep that rabbit hole goes.
Right.
And if for no other reason, you mentioned that I mean, it's got its own freaking pop culture phrase. And if for no other reason, because it brought us back into this world.
Yes. Oh,
Yep.
the Dark Crystal.
Fair point.
I was blown out of the back of my chair watching that series.
Yeah.
I had never been more proud to be waving my geek flag, because I went and saw the original Dark Crystal in theaters in '82 probably 6-7 times. It's one of my favorite movies ever. And when I saw what they were doing, I had a little bit of, I was like, oh boy, just don't screw this up. Please don't screw this up. Boy, did they not screw this up. That was unbelievably,
So good.
the fact that so much of it was done practically in camera, they didn't go overboard on CG. I don't think they hardly used any CG except for maybe background plates. It was wonderful. It was one of the most sublime uses of Muppet technology, great storytelling, great voiceover work. It was practically flawless. You have to really dig hard to try to find anything wrong with what they did with the Dark Crystal on Netflix. Absolutely perfect.
Julie, what about you? The value of Netflix, is it worth $17 a month?
I think it really depends on what you like to watch. You know, they definitely are the leaders and probably blow everyone else away as far as documentaries are considered. I mean, if you look at some of the in-depth exposure that they're putting out, they had this really great, and it doesn't get enough, attention, but they put this really great show out called Time. And it was about Khalif Browder and everything that he went through before he committed suicide. And
Right.
it's really analytical, and they tend to do that with a lot of their investigative reporting documentaries. And like they have a new one about Epstein, and it's amazing. And I think that they have a really good way of providing you evidence, giving the exposure, and helping you focus on the matter at hand, and not diluting it with any kind of pop culture or like media things to distract you. It's all about facts. It's all about investigation. It's about people's point of views, and they kind of just give you the information and let you decide for yourself. And I think that
making a murderer too,
Yeah, absolutely, the one that started it all. Yeah. But then they also have, the trials of Gabriel Fernandez was really good. They have so
I
many.
work in family court, and I put that out to everybody. I made that required viewing for people that work in the family court system. I'm like, if you don't watch this and it doesn't affect how you do your job, then you don't have a soul. That's required viewing for people that work in that field.
Brendan, what about you? The value of Netflix, is it worth it?
Well, I mean, I'm not paying that because I think we're still grandfathered in. But if I was buying it today, based on my current usage levels of Netflix compared to other streaming services, I would say no.
Right.
Just because I don't watch Netflix as much as I used to. I'm much more, when it comes to, if I've got to put stuff on to watch or even just for background noise, I've been turning to either Amazon Prime or the mixture of Hulu, Disney Plus, because I got the Hulu, Disney Plus ESPN package, which granted the ESPN packages were not worth a shit right now just because of COVID-19. There is no sports. So that's a thing. But right now, I'm either, and I've been messing around a little bit on HBO Max, which has its good things and its bad things, but I just haven't gotten on Netflix too much. I mean, if I get an urge to watch Daredevil again or something like that, then I jump on Netflix. But as far as finding new stuff to watch on there, I haven't found anything that's really caught my attention. Like, I tried to get into that Letter to the King, and I think I've gotten halfway through one episode. I might go back and try again, but right now I'd have to say no. It's not worth $17 a month.
See, this is where I kind of come down to Netflix, because with most of us having stuff on in the background, being able to watch screeners, with that nurture, that kind of thing. Netflix is great because of the amount of content that it does have. Being able to go back and binge watch all the Star Trek shows and classic TV, British shows, and you're right, the documentaries on there are incredible. I mean, the sheer content alone, I think, makes it worth $17. But if you're comparing it to original content, or the comparison between original content, I think other streaming services has it beat. It just is. The issue is you're stuck in this hold where it's the best value for that ultra 4K package because of the TVs we have, and multiple people being able to, watch it on the same account. I also look at it as if you're one person watching Netflix, it may not be as worth it. But if you are a family with kids, with the amount of products, and I wish Allison could have joined us today, because having her 2 cents, her and I talk about Netflix all the time. With her, having a large family, Disney Plus and Netflix are the 2 biggest things with shows for their age group. And again, I think it's about how you approach it, because if you're just one person, you're like, well, what amount of money am I going to spend every month on streaming on a streaming package? Because I'm not trying to. If you're paying for all of them and you're doing it without commercials, then at some point you're paying the same amount of money you would for cable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even including the fact that you may subscribe to like YouTube Live TV, which is what I do now. So I look at the value of, okay, if I'm doing all this plus YouTube Live TV, I'm paying a cable package the same as it was before. But it is the back catalog of shows that you could go. For Julie and I, again, we still talk about The West Wing, and I made a joke earlier that with all the nonsense that's been happening in the U.S. and protests and everything, and just not wanting to watch the news or social media, I'm like, well, it's time to start a new season of The West Wing as I progress this year to make me feel good about politics. And it's on there. And I thought that was a real coup by them to finally put all of that on there. And I've had so many people get into that show now. They're like, oh, man, I finally realized you're right. And why can't we have a real president that's like Josiah Bartlett?
Because we have 2 political parties who will never allow that.
Exactly. But there are
unless
so
we
many
elect Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
Got my vote.
I mean, we have 330 million people in this country, and the best the Democrats and Republicans can do are a sex-crazy megalomaniac and a dementia-addled possible pedophile. Gee, I can't imagine why the populace is so energized for the election.
Yeah.
Well, hello there, fellow nerds. I'm Marcus Blake, the editor and producer of That Nerd Show, and we need your help. That's right, we need your support. Like any news outlet, we rely on advertising and donations to keep the lights on. To be the greatest show in this universe, we need funding, and that's where you come in. Like most artists out there, we actually have a Patreon account, and we're asking for donations. But we're not just asking for you to give us money. We actually have stuff that we're going to be giving away if you donate. So we'll be uploading more and more videos to our Patreon account from YouTube, from our daily news to interviews with celebrities to gaming videos and all of our other individual shows that we are doing here in 2020. But to keep us going, we need a little bit of funding. And again, that's where you come in. So it can be as little as $1. $1 makes all the difference in the world. And you can do anywhere from $1 to $3 to $5, all the way up to $500. And we're going to be giving stuff away for your donations. So you can get some Nerd Power wristbands or any other wristbands from our series of wristbands that we're creating for nerds. You can get cool retro gaming t-shirts from our Nerd Swag shop if you make a donation of $20 or more. You can even get advertising on our website or within our videos if you make a purchase or donate $50 or more dollars. We have different tiers, like most artists. Want that new video game that's coming out this year? You want to be playing the same video game we are as we're reviewing it? Hey, you can do that with a $100 donation. Are you looking to get a new console before the year is out? Hey, $500 and you can get an Xbox One, a PlayStation 4, or even a Nintendo Switch. It just takes a little bit to help us. As little as $1 per video that we do. And we're going to have a variety of videos that you can help support. So if you like our content, if you like everything that we do as nerds, from honest conversations about pop culture to great celebrity interviews to wacky and fun gaming videos, then help support us on our Patreon account.
You can check us out at patreon.com/thatnerdshow. You can check us out at patreon.com/that. Take 3. Go to patreon.com/thatnerdshow and make your donation today. Even if it's just $1. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you and stay nerdy.
The other thing too is, I think that, and I'm going to segue into this streaming service. If you look at the sheer amount of back content that you can go back and watch, I think the next one that's closest is maybe CBS Access, because it wasn't about them doing. It wasn't really about them just doing original content and making you pay for it. It was, we're going to have this huge back catalog of classic shows that you can go back and binge watch. And I did that one night. I was like, oh God, they do have the original MacGyver series on there.
That's where I was about to go. I was like, yeah, I might have binged a few episodes of MacGyver a few times.
You too. I know, right?
You know, I am happy because like I didn't. So with CBS All Access, I did not like the first season of Discovery. The second season, to its credit, got better. It remains to be seen how much of that was the influence of Anson Mount and how much of it was really, is it a better show? Because if season 3 of Discovery sucks, but season 1 of Strange New Worlds is amazing, we know it was all Anson Mount. So So we're gonna find out. We actually get, you know, that's an either or hypothetical where we're actually going to get a definitive answer. And it would be great if they're both good and we're like, oh, okay, it's a combination. The writing got better, the acting got better, and Anson Mount was awesome. Fantastic. Hopefully that's what happens. We'll see.
But you know, the fact too that if you want to have the commercials and stuff, you're paying $5.99 a month, and if you don't, which, you know, we have a company account at That Nerd Show that we all share, so it's not like everybody's really paying for it. Yeah, I know. comes out of my budget, but again,
Appreciate it, Marcus. It's appreciated.
It really is.
Whatever I can do.
So much.
The love is strong.
The good news, Brewmaster, is I can easily be bought off with beer.
I can arrange that.
Exactly.
Actually, the reason why I keep getting up and moving is I'm carbonating the beer in tank 1 right now. As soon as we finish with this episode and it's ready, I'm going to be kegging it, and it'll be on tap either tonight or tomorrow. So.
Oh, so what you're saying is, if you don't have any Saturday plans,
hold off until you see me put it out on Facebook, because it's the boss's final decision of that when it actually goes on the board. I tell him it's done and it's kegged. It's, you know, he might hold it till next weekend so that they can do a release party. I don't know.
Right now.
So,
well, we'll let Brendan talk a bit more at the end of the episode and why he's at Craft and Growler and stuff. But anyway, yeah, CBS Access, I mean, has a great back catalog, and I think that's great. And I think, you know, the Picard series was well worth it for that streaming app, and we'll see what else they do. But it's another thing, too, where you get everything of Star Trek, which in movies, and, you know, they've got Paramount and CBS movies on there as well.
They even have the Star Trek animated show. Why you'd want to watch it, I don't know. Because it was terrible.
Nostalgia. But anyway, moving kind of right along to things that we do. We're kind of save the best for last because I think there's literally one streaming outlet that won and saved everybody during pandemic, and I think most people know what it is, but we'll talk about it here in a minute. Hulu, to me, is a catch-22 of a streaming app. Because like CBS Access, you can do the $5.99 subscription, or you can package it with the Disney Plus or whatever, but you're going to get ads in it. To me, it's like paying for a monthly DVR with a little bit of back, you know, with extra content. They have some really good original content. I don't know if it's as good as Amazon, and I don't know if it's as good as like Netflix. Netflix hasn't really done as much original like series. I mean, they're getting there, and there's a lot of surprises on Netflix. Moving beyond the 2 premieres that they have with House of Cards, and then Orange is the New Black, which, you know, Orange is the New Black really did end on a high note.
Well, it also kind of, those two shows really set the standard that streaming services could, in fact, have good original content. They were the originals.
Yeah, and we've interviewed a couple of the folks from Orange is the New Black. Hbo, I'm mispronouncing her name, but the actress who played Crazy Eyes, lovely, also straight up nerd. Her and I had about a 10-minute conversation just about Star Wars while they're trying to get her in makeup for her next interview. So she was one of my favorite interviews, and I'm so disappointed that we had bad sound and all that. It turned out to just be a written interview. But anyway, there's a lot of other great little shows that they have premiered, little great sitcoms and stuff. So getting back to Netflix real quick, I think that alone, it does make it worth it. But you have to ask that question versus a single person, a single person versus having a family. Hulu, I think for them, the fact that you packaged it with ESPN Plus and Disney Plus for $12.99, even though you're going to get paid ads or whatever, that alone kind of makes it worth it. But if you don't have a DVR anymore because you don't have cable, then Hulu is where you go back and watch stuff. Okay. But if you're like us and you have a company account with a golly amount of profiles for Hulu, and to be able to have more profiles on a streaming service compared to everybody else, so you could have a wide audience be able to go in there and watch it, that alone I think makes it worth paying the $12 a month to have no ads, because again, it's going back to watching old TV shows, some original content, some movies and everything, but it's like a DVR service. That's how I view Hulu. So let me ask about this, and I'll start with you, Julie, because I know you've got stuff in the background like I do throughout the day. Hulu itself, is it one of your favorites? Is it worth it? Is there anything you like about it?
I think it's right there with Netflix. I mean, I probably watch it just as much as I do Netflix. And again, I think it really depends on what you watch. We like it because we put Rick and Morty on it for like background stuff, and we constantly quote it to each other. So it's really funny to put it in the rotation and then listen to it while you're doing something else. I don't think they have a lot of really great original content, but there are some things that they put on there for you to stream that aren't originally theirs that are pretty decent. We watched The Sun the other day, which is about Texas, and it's about like one of the first families in Texas.
The one with Pierce Brosnan, right? It was an show. Yeah.
Yeah, and at first I was like, Pierce Brosnan as a Texan, that's really weird. But he does a pretty decent job, and I really like the storyline and how they told all the stories. It really comes together really well.
He wouldn't be the first Irishman to play a Texan. Yeah. They had Daniel Day-Lewis. There Will Be Blood.
Very true.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, again, it just depends on what, like, I like We Bare Bears, which used to be on Netflix. And, again, something I can put on in the background that's super cute and just, I can, write or do whatever and not have to pay attention to it because it's geared towards 5-year-olds. And they moved it to Hulu, and so I can sit there and watch that too. It really just depends on what you like to watch. But I think it's more like a middle of the road kind of like, I could have it or not have it, and it would be fine.
Right. There is one aspect of Hulu that I will point out that is awesome. When your mother is stuck at your house doing the company books and getting caught up, but also distracting you. So I set up an extra Roku stick with a TV, and she discovered ER, all 15 seasons. Yeah. And I'm like, yay!
And the assist to Hulu.
Yeah, although she's going through it way too fast.
But that's when you bring out Chicago Hope. Just keep those medical dramas coming,
Yeah.
and they do have Chicago Med on there, as well as Chicago Fire and Chicago PD. So you can just keep that drama thing going for your mom. That's plenty of content right there. That's at least a month solid worth of content.
Right. My thing about Hulu though is the fact that the Josh Whedon back catalog, and they were like, we'd like to suggest a show that you may not have watched. That nerd show profile, Firefly. Really? What is this show?
Yeah. It's like, do you know us?
Yeah.
Really?
Anyway, Chad, what about you? How do you feel about Hulu?
Okay, so I think that each one of these streaming services that we've discussed, all three of them have a strong point that the other ones seem to lack a little bit. For Amazon, it's quality of content. For Netflix, it's quantity of content. For Hulu, I think it's diversity of options. And I love the fact that you can add the live TV service to it. I love the fact that you brought up about the old, like the DVR factor to it. Plus, we're also getting the next season of The Orville on Hulu. So that's something I definitely can't complain about. And like that was my go-to for live TV for a while, until live TV just got so redundant because there was nothing really new on there because of all this, the pandemic that we're dealing with. So we scaled back on it, but we're probably going to be adding it later. Plus, our internet out here is terrible, so it's kind of tough to watch something like live TV, and you keep getting a buffering thing all the time, so it gets a little frustrating. But I use Hulu a lot more than I figured that we would. It's still it's not quite. I'll agree with Julie. It's not quite on the level of Netflix, but it's close. I like it quite a bit. I can't imagine not having it as an option.
Well, we've basically talked about the big three: Hulu, Amazon, and Netflix. And the question that we are trying to ask is, if you're going to get streaming services, what package would you get? Now, it's a little bit different from us because we do have our own personal accounts, but that Nerd Show also pays for some of the smaller ones that we all have access to. And I was thinking about, as I was actually balancing my checkbook, by the way, you should probably balance your checkbook in case you subscribe to something that you didn't realize you were paying for, like me and ESPN for the past year. They basically got like $70 of my money with me not even being able to log in or realize that I had an account. Got that fixed, so it's been great to go back and watch the 30 for 30 docs. And that alone and being able to do sports is kind of worth it. Anyway, but again, just trying to how we package everything together and really talk about the big three. But real quick, Brendan, would you subscribe to Hulu on its own if it wasn't part of the Disney Plus package?
I guess it depended what the price point was. I guess for $5.99, sure. I probably would do the commercial one anyway, because they do have that option where you can watch one long 2-minute commercial on most shows, and then you get to watch the rest of it commercial free. So I could handle that, but at $5.99, sure. Anything more than that, probably not.
We got a little background noise going on.
Yeah, unfortunately, they opened up the bar an hour early, and so now they got the music going. I apologize. So
okay.
I did not know this was going to happen this morning, so my apologies.
Okay, may have to kind of quickly take that.
I'll mute myself when I'm not talking.
Okay, so here's the big question. Actually, before we get to that point, let's do this. If there is one streaming thing that we need to mention, we've kind of tried it, and we're going to give them our thoughts.
Oh, this is the part where we get to shit on Quibi.
Yes, we're about to shit on Quibi.
Yay!
I get the idea of trying to come out with a streaming service where you have short little episodes here and there. That's fine. I am not knocking that idea. I have finished a couple of the shows. If you really put them all together, you're spending about an hour. It's like watching a movie or something if you watched it all together. Okay, fine. The fact that you're forcing me just to watch it on my fucking phone, yeah, screw you. That's my answer. I don't want to watch shit just on my phone, okay? So Julie, jump in here. Do you want to sit there and just watch crap on your phone all the time?
I don't even so much have a problem with that. I could deal with that if the content was better. But when I sat there and I scrolled through everything that was available, and it's all just like Chrissy Teigen's courtroom show or something, like it's all just like drama. You know what I mean? Like very it's like the Kardashians. Every show is like a Kardashian spinoff, and I don't want to watch it. I think I saw, the only thing that I saw that was okay was some sort of like meditative, thing where they give you a tour of like all of these places in these different countries. So you get to see this beautiful scenery and very relaxing. It's like, spa stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, that's not bad. I can watch that. But I don't meditate. And they're not really telling me anything about the location. So it gets kind of like, oh, well, why am I watching this when I could be watching National Geographic? If the content was better, I wouldn't have so much of a problem with the format. But I feel like they're just putting together, it's basically just like Vine stories. They're making shows for Vine and making it 10 minutes an episode instead of 6 seconds. And
that's how big my phone is.
I need something more in depth. I need something more in depth than that.
That's how big my phone is. I don't want to watch Pornhub on this, let alone 10-minute shows about the Kardashians.
I'm watching Pornhub on my phone.
Fair enough. Well, I finished the show Survive with Corey Hawkins and why am I drawing a blank now? Game of Thrones, Sansa Stark.
It's
Sophia. I'm forgetting her last name now, so I apologize.
Well, now it's Jonas. Now it's Sophia Jonas.
Whatever.
Sophia Turner.
Thank you,
Turner, yeah.
I thought it was an interesting show. Loved kind of what they did with it. It's tragic and stuff. My only really chief complaint is, why are we trying to force some kind of ridiculous love story in a show about survival? Okay. Mm-hmm. That part was cheesy, and I'm sorry, you're not talking about some guy who wanted to sit next to you on a plane because he thought you were cute, and then, oh my God, we've survived this tragedy. I'm in love with you. What is this? It's not what you're thinking about. And I think the show Dummy with Anna Kendrick it's kind of cute and funny and raunchy and everything. But again, it's the format. It's just, for me, I'm not going to sit there and watch it on my phone. The fact that I can't even download the app on my tablet, or it's not on a Roku or anything, no, I'm not doing that. Okay? So it's not worth me paying $5 to watch your content. In fact, I'm waiting for people to throw the shit up on torrents. Yeah, I said that. So I can just download it and watch it there and pick and choose.
My guess is that business model will last shorter than the news cycle in 2020. Right. And they will eventually go to tablets and smart TVs because they're just not going to be able to sustain themselves by people trying to watch on this.
Yeah. Once you go to that, I don't have a problem with your 10-minute little episodes. I'll give you a great example of something that worked well, and it was online. It was the Battlestar Galactica prequel called Blood and Chrome, when Adama was a young Viper pilot and an ensign. It was his first big mission, where they kind of go out to the outer reaches of space, and it's during the first Cylon War. So they broke it up by 10 minutes here and there, and by the time online, and it was fine, but you got to watch it on a bigger screen. And then when you got to watch everything together, it was like a little mini Battlestar Galactica movie, and very well told.
Kind of like Short Treks on CBS.
Yeah, or Short Trek, and that's another thing. But again, you can watch it on a big TV. Also, the best short track is Spock's first day on the Enterprise, where they get stuck in the elevator and start singing English musicals.
That, and I like the security officer test too that Mount puts the young security officer through. That was a good one.
That was a good one too. Anyway, Quibi, you've got to change your business model. I'm sorry. Brendan's right. You're not going to sustain. You get 2 thumbs down. Exactly.
At least get some good content. Get something that's not like cruddy pop culture junk. Get something of some sort of substance and story.
Something that if it was a full episode wouldn't be on E.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody cares about the Kardashians. And I'm sorry.
No.
If you actually do, you're just wrong. You're what's wrong.
If you actually do, you're watching the wrong podcast. You shouldn't be here. This is not the place for you.
This is a test.
This is not that.
All right. HBO Max, I think it's still a little too early to tell with them. I don't know if they're worth $14.99. HBO has always been a little expensive for their back catalog, but I get where they're coming from with all the stuff that they're bringing in and the amount of movies. Now, here's the one thing that is kind of worth it for us. We were paying for a DC Universe account for a while. It was a little expensive to pay like $9 a month with taxes for limited content. The original shows, yes, great, fine. I liked what they were doing. But the fact that now you're combining DC Universe with HBO Max, you have my attention.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They're only partially doing it. They really need to just give up on DC Universe and just roll it into HBO Max, because only about half of DC Universe is actually on HBO Max. You're not getting Titans.
Yeah.
You're not getting Harley Quinn. So that's a problem that they need. I'm not paying for, nobody's going to pay for 2 streaming services to get the same content. They need to just give up on DC Universe and roll it into HBO Max.
Right. That's what they're doing now. But if you also notice, you can't even watch like all the movies yet. Like they're coming. It's kind of like what Disney Plus is doing, where certain movies, they have to end the cycle of their contract being streamed somewhere else to get onto it. They're moving a lot of stuff over eventually. Some of the DC movies aren't going to be available till later, in the year. So
it's partially contracts and it's partially a staged rollout, so people don't consume everything in the first week and then change the channel, so to speak.
Right. For us, it wasn't that big of a deal because they had the special going on where it was basically $11 a month before the 27th, and that's what we did. And for me, I feel like that's not that big of a deal. I know arguing over $3 or $4 a month may seem like trivial, but again, let's talk about what you have compared to the amount of money that you're spending. And if you're somebody that doesn't have cable and you're trying to pay for Stars or Showtimes, you're paying upward close to $10. And putting it all together, again, you're getting to the point where you're paying the same amount as you would with a cable package with the premium channels. I think it will be one of the better ones as time goes on. But one of the things that Brendan, Aaron, and I were talking about is they had Torchwood on there. They had all 4 seasons of Torchwood on HBO Max, which I was greatly surprised. And Aaron was laughing. Aaron and I were laughing. Like, well, it's a good time to go back and watch Torchwood. It has been a while, and we need a little Captain Jack in our lives. So.
I did like they have a TNT show on there that I really did enjoy. I actually just binged the whole thing. It's called The Alienist. Set in the 1890s New York, historical fiction. Teddy Roosevelt is the head of the NYPD at the time.
Yes.
It's about pioneering forensic.
That looks fascinating.
Criminal forensic psychology. Really good show. Luke Evans, Daniel Bruhl are fantastic in it. So is Dakota Fanning.
And the guy actually playing Teddy Roosevelt, I forget the actor's name. He was doing a pretty good job at young Roosevelt.
He did a pretty good job at nailing a young Teddy.
Right. So there's a lot to be desired with it. If you're trying to add, I mean, I'm not really going to go and watch the back catalog of Showtime and pay $10 a month for that, because Homeland is over now. So, and they ended on a great high note. But for what HBO Max is doing, I think they will get there. So, all right. The one thing that we've not talked about, and I think, again, this is the streaming show or streaming channel that saved us during the pandemic. And yes, we are talking about Disney Plus. For $7 a month, to have pretty much the back catalog.
You can watch The Mandalorian all the time.
Exactly.
For $7 a month. Now, you throw The Simpsons and the rest of the Star Wars catalog on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get Nat Geo. You get like all the National Geographic stuff too, which is really great.
And
an excellent point.
And $7 a month is worth it just to watch how Jeff Goldblum will save the world.
There was this really great I really love like those Nat Geo docs, and they had one. It used to be called 5 Years on Mars, and I think they changed the title. And it's something about what they talk about spirit and opportunity as rovers and how they never intended for them to last longer than 90 days. But they talk about, you know, like putting the rovers on Mars and everything that they went through. Like there was one of them that got stuck in sand for a while, and they talk about that and how they got it out. It's really, really cool stuff, like behind the scenes JPL stuff. And it always sticks in my mind when I think of Nat Geo, because there's a part where they were talking about when the rover got stuck in the sand, and they were all sitting there in the war room like, how do we get it out? Like, what can we do? How do we fix this? And there were like all these different guys with different ideas. And one of them was like, okay, well, we're going to do, like the leader was like, well, we're going to do this. And he was like, no, I wanted to make sure that we were all on board with this. I wanted to make sure that if we were jumping off the cliff, we were all holding hands, because the last thing I want is some guy showing up later like, oh, I said this and you didn't listen to me. He's like, no, we're all going down together. And I love that. Whenever I think of Nat Geo, I think of that. It's just such a great show.
Yeah, but I mean, can you imagine trying to survive, stay at home all the time and not have Disney Plus? I mean, if we were going to have a pandemic, this was the right time to do it.
I needed beer and Disney Plus, and I had both, and I was good.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I do have to say this. I'm glad that there are like older people getting into Disney Plus. Again, had to set that up. You know, while mom's doing the books for the company and stuff, taking a break from ER. So I get to poke fun at her a little bit. But now I get to poke fun at my father, who got Disney Plus, thought it was kind of cool, and then texted late at night while we were gaming in Battlefront, I'm watching The Mandalorian. I don't get it. What is going on here?
What?
I'm trying to explain to him, because he doesn't know much about The Mandalorians. Okay, let me do an analogy that you might better understand. Think Clint Eastwood is the nameless man in The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Okay, but I don't understand the world. And I'm like, Dad, he's a bounty hunter and he rescues Baby Yoda. What else? And Gina Carano is hot.
Yeah, and they have a really great back catalog for that one too. The back catalog for Disney Plus is really great too. They had stuff like what was the one with the bug? Is it Herbie or they have like all of those, but they have
Herbie the Love Bug.
Herbie the Love Bug. And they had like Bedknobs and Broomsticks. They had Flight of the Navigator. I watched Flight of the Navigator again.
The Teenage Computer movie where he's a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, people often forget that Kurt Russell got his start in acting doing Disney movies.
Yeah.
Before he was
the computer wore tennis shoes, yes.
Yeah, there you go. The computer that wore tennis shoes. I forgot the title. You got both Mary Poppins movies on there, and Mary
Shaggy DA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, when you need your history lesson, National Treasure Part 1 and 2.
Yes. Oh, I watched those yesterday. I watched them both yesterday. I was like, "Where's the third one? Where's the third one?" Apparently, they're turning it into a show. They're making it into a show for Disney Plus, and they're still making the extra movie.
Well, the best scene in the whole first one though is when he's like, "Wait, you guys don't know where daylight savings came from?"
Yeah.
He's
like, "Is this how you feel all the time?" Is this how you feel all the time?
Yeah.
And to think about the other series that Disney Plus is going to bring. Let's see. We have a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids series with Rick Moranis coming back.
I do like Rick Moranis. I miss him so much.
Hey, we got a Mighty Ducks series coming back. Coach Bombay is coming back.
But is Emilio Estevez in it?
Exactly.
Yes.
We have a Willow series in development where the princess is grown and,
a Willow series.
Yeah, and we've got other Star Wars series. So, I mean, for everything that we complain about Disney being the evil empire, especially when we do press screenings and we have to go through our embargoes and blah, 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 it's easy to distract us and forgive you when your streaming service is $7 a month.
And I'll tell you, that Imagineers series is amazing. If you haven't watched the Imagineers, oh my God, is that show worth your time? That and Prop Culture and the gallery featuring The Mandalorian, doing the whole behind-the-scenes things on The Mandalorian. Some of the best shows I've watched in years.
On that note, the behind the scenes for The Dark Crystal was really amazing on Netflix. That was really good.
Well, the other,
Dark
I thought it was also a real coup for them to drop Rise of Skywalker on Disney Plus on May 4th.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to finally have all the Star Wars movies, whether you love them or hate them or whatever, are there. And here's the one thing: for while we are complaining about the Snyder Cut coming to HBO Max for Justice League, guess what's coming to Disney Plus? Star Wars Original Trilogy theatrical releases.
Ooh.
Yes.
Where Han
Nice.
does shoot first, and we have proof. All right,
Something
one quick
I'm-
streaming service. We got to wrap this up, but one quick streaming service that I do want to point out: Apple Plus. I get what you're trying to do. You're kind of worth $5 a month, but the amount of sheer problems we've had trying to log in, multiple people use the account. I have 2 words for you. They are those 2 words. However, I really did love For All Mankind, the Ronald D. Moore show about the alternate universe where the Russians landed on the moon first, and it helped propel our space program. But Apple Plus for me is one of those, like, I'm only going to pay $5 a month when that show comes back, and then I'm canceling the account. Violet Ramadi is right now is reviewing some stuff on Apple TV Plus, and she's the only one that can use the account, and she's still having trouble with it. And I'm just like, you know what, Apple, screw you. It shouldn't be that impossible to watch your content. And you know who does it better? Android. Boom, I said it.
Yes.
Anyway, all right.
Android for life.
We got about 7 minutes, so I want to do this real quick to get us out of the time. If you had to pick 4 streaming services that you were willing to pay for monthly, what would they be? Only 4. And I'm going to start with you, Brendan.
Oh, Dad's favorite gets to go first.
Yeah, this is the first time the entire show. Anyway, so I would go Amazon, Disney Plus, or No Doubts. I would probably go from there. I would, just because until they get rid of the Marvel shows and some other things, I would probably go Netflix third, even though I don't think it's worth almost $18 a month. And then last, honestly, I'm very intrigued because I've seen just about everything that's on Hulu, or I can get it. Actually, I'd probably, you know what? It'd be a tie between CBS All Access and HBO Max, but I think I'd have to lean right now towards CBS All Access because I really want to see Strange New Worlds when that comes out.
Right. Okay, good point. Julie, how about you?
Mine's easy. I mean, in no particular order, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and Disney Plus. Those are really the only ones that I watch. I'm for sure Amazon would be my number 1 because I'm really, really half excited and half scared to see that new Tolkien show that they're working on.
See, we didn't even mention that, but yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. So, Chad, how about you? If you had to pick 4, what would you do?
Concur with Julie. Exact same thing. Pretty much for the same reasons.
I'm there as well. I think they really are the 4 best, but I would treat CBS Access with the reverence that most people did with HBO when Game of Thrones was up. We're only paying for it when certain shows are on. So when Picard Season 2, Strange New Worlds, or the Captain Pike show comes back, I'll pay for it. You know, if I was doing it personally, you know, $6 a month just to watch those shows. The rest, like, whatever. HBO Max, I don't know. I'm still torn on it. I mean, and I say that because I am kind of binge watching Game of Thrones again in the background while I'm finishing up a fantasy novel. But
if they get all their movies back and they roll all of DC Universe into it and make it one service, it is a no doubt. It is a no-brainer for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And Brendan's got a good point. But yeah, I think you're never going to get past the fact that Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon and Disney Plus are your 4 top services, hands down. And the fact that you can take Disney Plus and package it in with Hulu, if you look at it that way, and you have to pick a 4th that's not like Hulu included, then it is kind of a toss-up between CBS Access and HBO Max. And And I think with CBS Access, again, getting the back catalog of old shows, everything Star Trek and Paramount movies, you kind of lean more towards that, while HBO Max is kind of a luxury. So
You know what HBO should do is they should reshoot that 8th season and maybe add in some more seasons and only make them available on the app. If they're going to throw all this money into content for the app anyway, they might as well.
I don't think you could get the actors back at this point. I think they're
no.
it too.
They're
I think,
all already dead. Let's just shoot a different season.
Wow.
Besides, they got that new Game of Thrones spinoff coming. What, next year or the year after?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
No, George R. R. Martin
On
can just
purpose.
use the books and really create controversy, and we'll leave it at that with Game of Thrones. All right, before we close this out, I wanted to turn it over to Brendan real quick, and he is the new brewmaster at Craft and Growler in Dallas. We wanted to give a little shout out to Craft and Growler. We've interviewed them before when we had the beer show. Brendan, tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what we have to look forward to as nerds, because we want to come drink at Craft and Growler.
So for those who don't know, Craft and Growler is actually the oldest growler shop in North Texas. It's right across the street from Fair Park in Dallas. They recently changed from just a growler shop to a full-on brew pub with a full kitchen, and now a 3-barrel brew house, which I showed you earlier, with a couple 7-barrel fermentation tanks, which are right over my right shoulder. Right now I've got a Smash IPA with Cascade that's carbonating right now. That'll be kegged today. I've also got a Belgian single in tank 2. I'm going to be brewing a Hefeweizen on Monday. I'm going to be brewing a hazy pale ale once the Belgian single's done. And then we're doing a collab with Celestial. We're doing a New England IPA with Celestial, and they're one of the leaders in Texas for New England IPAs. So that's what's on the slate currently. We're going to have a different Smash IPA every month. There's going to be a poll put up on Facebook with 4 options for which different hop we're going to put into the beer. You guys get to choose which hop is going to be in the next one, except for November, because there is a Veterans Choice hop done by Yakima Chief Hops, which the proceeds go to veterans charities. We're going to charge $1 extra for that beer. That $1 is going to go to local Dallas veterans charities. And so that is going to be the Veterans Choice Smash. And we're going to be doing that for Veterans Day, which is November 11th, also known as Armistice Day, if you're in the UK or the Commonwealths, if you will. So wear your poppies and have a veteran smash on Veterans Day. But that's what we've got so far on the slate. We got a lot more good stuff coming, but that's all the things I can announce at this time. But yeah, keep your eye on us, and we're not gonna be distributing any beer. So if you want the beer, you got to come here. But we do have growlers and crowlers, so you can get it to go. So, but that's all we got going.
Well, Trinity Hall Irish Pub is kind of our little official press bar that we normally go to after screenings. I do want to tell folks out there, if you're in the Dallas area, go see Brendan, the brewmaster, at Craft and Growler.
Please don't use that term. I hate that term. It makes me cringe. I'm not a brewmaster. I'm just a head brewer. When I'm 20 years in the business, you could call me a brewmaster. It just sounds so pretentious for me, who's been professionally brewing for only 3 years, to call myself a brewmaster.
Well, whatever title you want, it's all up to you. But go see Brendan, have a beer at Craft and Growler. We love the place, and we definitely stop in when we were down around Fair Park for festivals anyway. So you can come hang out with us, see some of us at 2 places now. So very much looking forward to your first beers, and we'll be looking for that announcement when they're ready. All right, everybody, we'll be back next week. But yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts about streaming services, what you pay for, what's the best value, the best and worst. And you can tweet us out at That Nerd Show. Send us an email, editor@thatnerdshow.com. But yeah, we have a whole slew of great podcasts for you every Saturday morning with the Saturday Morning Nerd Show through July. And as we come back to reality and the world is opening up, we can't wait to get back to festivals and things that we normally cover, and especially great interviews with filmmakers. So everybody, we are out of here. We're going to cue the intro music. Stay nerdy. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.